So I have it going off here and I'm in bed. So I'm like, oh shucks, I'm going to wake everyone up. So I pull the blanket off and I have to sprint here to turn it off so that I don't wake anyone else up. If you're waking up, sprinting to the other side of your room, you're not going to fall back asleep. Especially if straight after that you put on all your lights and you drink some water, you're going to be waking up pretty well. Study after study shows that if you do not get good sleep, you do not get good gains. Sleep is a requirement for your preferred outcome of exercise. If you don't sleep, you're not going to gain muscle. So in this video, I want to help you set up a better routine before sleep to help you sleep better, as well as a better routine waking up to give your body a better body clock, so to speak. So for those who don't know me, my name is Kathan. I am a fitness coach and a personal trainer and an ex-competitive bodybuilder. And I just love fitness and I love Jesus. I want to specifically talk on the topics of things I've changed and routines I've made that helped me sleep a lot better and help my body clock regulate a lot better. Okay, so your pre-bed routine and a few things that actually make a difference when it comes to your sleep quality. First of all is food, digesting. If you have a lot of food before going to bed, your stomach works to digest. So if you have a lot to digest before you go to sleep, you're not going to sleep very well. Even if you do sleep, you're not going to have good quality sleep because your body's not doing exercise, but kind of working in a way that it can't fully turn off and just have your brain on and just, sleep like how you're supposed to. No, because your body's still going. Your body's still working. So a general rule is to not eat anything major like 2 hours before bedtime. But that being said, anything quick digesting and not carbs, because carbs give you energy, especially sugars. You want to avoid those anywhere close to bedtime, and you want to crank the energy down a bit. So personally, what I do about an hour and a half, maybe sometimes even half an hour before bed, I'll have a medium-sized glass of whole milk. This digests very fast because it's a liquid. Your body doesn't need to really actually do any digesting, really. It doesn't need to work to digest it. It just kind of extracts the nutrients and then just lets the rest go. So my body doesn't have to work to digest milk too much. And there's no carbs, it's no sugars. There is a little bit of carb, everything has carbs in it, but there's no sugar in it, nothing that can spike my insulin levels and my glucose levels. So it's pretty much just protein and fats that are having an effect on me, which doesn't really affect sleep at all. So besides that glass of milk, I try not to eat anything around 2 hours before going to bed. Like 8 o'clock, for an example. For 8 p.m., it's 8:37 p.m. right now. At 8 p.m., I don't eat anything solid until I go to bed, which is at 10. The next thing is exposure to blue light. This is a big one. If you're exposing yourself to a lot of blue light, no matter what you do leading up, if you make sure you move less and you're more still, and so you're trying to put your body in tired mode, but you have screens on all the time, your eyes don't really know the difference between, or your eyes are just a window to your brain, but your brain doesn't really know the difference between a screen and the sun. In your mind, subconsciously, they're both this kind of the same thing. So when blue light hits your eyes, your brain's like, the sun's still up. I'm not tired. I shouldn't go to sleep. There's no reason for me to go to sleep because the sun's still up. I go to sleep when the sun's down because, that's how I work. That's how our human bodies work. When the sun goes down, we sleep. When the sun comes up, we rise. So if we exposing ourselves to blue light all the time before going to bed, we're tricking our bodies into thinking it's still broad daylight because there's so much light just coming into our eyes. Especially blue light from screens is even worse. It basically tricks our bodies into thinking, well, it's daytime, so our bodies aren't going to get tired. So for me personally, from 9 p.m., I have every single device that I have personally, that I own personally. I'm living with my parents, so obviously like TV and stuff not affected by me. But my phone, my PC, my laptop, that's pretty much dead, so I never really use it anyway. But these things that I have control over, I put a blue light filter at its strongest setting to kick in at 9 p.m. So even if I'm not aware of the time and I'm doing something on my PC, all of a sudden the monitor within 2 minutes will just get really orange. And it's not only to stop the blue light, because even if I do happen to go over that time, it's okay because there's no blue light anymore, because I've reduced that, so now it's tricking my brain less. But also, it doesn't look nice. You know what I'm saying? When my screen is like pretty much orange, like it looks like there's an orange filter over everything is just kind of yucky to look at. So I don't really want to be on my PC anyway. So I just resist the temptation to turn it off. But instead, I just, whenever that orange filter comes onto my phone and my PC, then I just won't use them. And that's my cue to just leave screens in total. So from 9 p.m., I don't look at any screens. I go to bed at 10 p.m. So I have an hour of no screen exposure, which limits my blue light reduction heavily. Reducing light exposure. So this is on the same kind of topic, but it's not blue light specifically, it's light. Because in a similar way to the sun, obviously when the sun sets, like I said earlier, when the sun sets, our body's like, okay, it's getting dark now we sleep. And as long as it's still light, our bodies are like, okay, well, it's day. Something I do personally is after screens are off, I'll still have like room lights and everything on as usual. But then when I start to tone down a bit, the first thing I'll do light-wise is about maybe half an hour before going to bed. I'll turn off all my room lights, and I have these RGB strip lights on this shelf that's above my desk, above my PC, and I have another one that's just above my bed. And I'll put them on the warm settings, so like a very, almost like this kind of glowing color you'd see over here on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see that, but this kind of glowy color. I'll kind of have that as warm as possible, trying to mimic, that when the sun sets, it's that little orange layer. It's that kind of color. And the purpose I do that is because that's the more relaxing kind of color tone. And that's the more subtle and the least strenuous in the eyes. So I'll do that. I put that sort of orangey, sunsetty kind of color on both of my RGB lights. And then I won't put them at max brightness. I'll put them a little bit below like the mid. So it's actually, once I turn off my room lights and it's just those on, it's actually, my eyes actually have to readjust because it's quite a bit darker. And then that starts my body getting into like, okay, it's getting darker now mode. So I start subconsciously getting tired. And then I'll usually like read my Bible over here, either that or I'll read something. Actually, I don't read anything else. I'll just read my Bible. Once I'm done that, at about 10 p.m. is when I switch the lights off here, the strip light here, and I'll go sit in my bed and I'll grab my daily journal, and the RGB strip light behind me, I will put on a minimum brightness so the minimum brightness that I can just see the words on the page. And I'll write down everything that comes to mind from the day, that happened during the day. And I'll do that so my brain's like, okay, shucks, it's getting dark now. Say my night's prayer, and then put my head on the pillow, and then turn the lights off. And by then, I'm pretty much asleep. Compared to what it used to be like. Before I had this night routine, I used to toss and turn in bed for literally an hour. And now it's funny to think back because my bedtime routine is an hour. So essentially, I get to go to bed 1 hour later and I get the exact same amount of sleep. But instead of just going to bed and tossing and turning and not tossing and turning and then eventually falling asleep, I just stay up a little bit longer and then just immediately fall asleep when I go to bed. And another thing is putting your brain in creative state. I've seen a study, mind me, it might be cherry picking because I haven't seen multiple. I've only seen one. So don't take this advice from me as like ride or die, because like I said, only one study that I've seen, so I can't fully confirm it. But your brain is in a more susceptible state of sleep when it's in creative mode, not reflective mode. And the way to go from reflective mode to creative mode is if you conclude your reflections in some way, shape, or form. So for me, that's daily journaling. When I daily journal, I put all my reflective thoughts upon the day in the daily journal. So when I write it down, my brain's like, okay, I've done something about it. So it ticks it off the checks box, and then it just disappears. And I don't really think about those things anymore because they've gone. They're onto the page now. So my brain's ticked it off like something I've needed to do is done for some reason. So then it's done. And then now my brain's like, okay, now we can be creative. And that's obviously how you dream, because your brain is creative. It likes to sort of make up scenarios when you sleep. So if you get rid of what you're thinking about in the day by daily journaling, then you immediately put your brain in creative state, which is its ready to sleep state. So that was very helpful for me. And now obviously a lot shorter, but your waking up schedule. This is a proven fact. The consistency of waking time is more of a prevalent factor to constant sleep than bedtime. That means if you wake up at the same time every morning, regardless of if it's a weekend or a weekday, that will be more effective than going to bed at the same time, regardless of weekend or weekday. So when you wake up, your body likes to have the optimal amount of sleep, that sort of 8-hour range. So if you wake up at the same time every single day, your body's going to realize that, and it's going to start getting tired earlier if you're going to bed late, for an example. And that's going to actually help you to get to bed earlier. So my biggest piece of advice that has worked for me personally is waking up consistently no matter the day. So I wake up at 6:30 a.m., whether that's a Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, or a Monday, or all the days except for Friday. I do wake up at 4:40 on a Friday because I have a men's group at 5:30 in the morning, which is a decent drive away. Besides that Friday, which I'm very committed to going to, so that doesn't, and it's one day of the week, it doesn't mess it up too much. So all my days 6:30, and then Friday is 4:40. But here, in terms of routine, how to wake up better is, first of all, when you first wake up, grab yourself some water, because you've spent lying down in bed, you spent, around 8 hours, however long you sleep. You've spent that much time without drinking any water. And if you think throughout the day, if you spend 2 days without water, 2 hours without water, you start getting a little bit thirsty. 8 hours without any water, you need to be drinking some water. It is very important to get water as quick as you can, and it also helps you wake up, especially if that water is a little bit cold. So water, first of all. Second of all is exposing yourself to as much light as possible. No, I don't mean grabbing a torch, turning it on, putting it in your eyes. You're not trying to blind yourself, you're trying to wake yourself up. So unlike going to bed, where it's fading the lights down slowly, trying to get yourself tired, waking up is the complete opposite. Once you wake up, the quicker you expose yourself to more light, the faster your body's going to wake up. So me, for an example, I'll get up, the first thing I'll do, 6:30, it's still dark at the moment, because it's winter here, so it's still very dark at 6:30 a.m. But what I'll do is, as soon as my alarm goes off, I'll turn on all my room lights, get this place nice and bright, and I'll make sure that all the curtains are closed so that I don't see outside and I see that it's dark, because then my subconscious is like, oh, it's still dark, just sleep. But if I don't see that, and all that's going on is all my room lights are just blasting light, then my body's like, okay, it's daytime, we can start waking up. So water, expose yourself to lots of light, and get a little bit moving. If you're just still, then obviously it makes sense. Put the puzzle pieces together. If you stay still, that's what you do when you sleep. So your body's going to think like, am I sleeping in? What am I doing? Get yourself moving a bit. And finally, the reason I'm so on it when it comes to my alarm goes off and I'm always out of bed is because I put my phone on here, on the desk, literally right here, every single night, or either right here or over here, which is where I charge it. So here or here, and I sleep on the bed over there. I like to put my alarm really loud so that it has the potential of waking someone else up, and I feel really bad for waking other people up. So I have it going off here, and I'm in bed, so I'm like, oh shucks, I'm going to wake everyone up. So I pull the blanket off, and I have to sprint here to turn it off so that I don't wake anyone else up. And if you're waking up, sprinting to the other side of your room, you're not going to fall back asleep, and you're getting away. Especially if straight after that you put on all your lights and you drink some water, you're going to be waking up pretty well. So that's what I do personally to wake up. Last takeaway for this video is that you need good sleep for good gains. Bad sleep equals no gains. Good sleep equals effective gains. But if you don't train effectively, then you won't gain effectively regardless of sleep. And so if you want to know how to train more optimally and really train properly, really train hard, then this is the video you want to check out. Go ahead and then watch that so that you can combine these two videos to get the best gains possible. Once again, I am a fitness coach. Link is in the description to my website where you can figure out more about my coaching if you're interested in becoming a client. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.